us on YouTube, where you can find us by typing Faith in Whatever Podcast into the search bar. Also visit our website, faithinwhatever.com, where you will find all of the links to our other social media platforms, our Twitter, our Facebook. I'm at Josh_Carmen. He's at TStudentLife. Chris is at Marion Ranch, and James is at JamesYuile. So, guys, I am really, really excited for this. Peaky Blinders, all right, is a TV series that came on in 2013, and basically what it's about is this group of it's a fiction, but kind of based on an actual thing that existed.
A real life gang in Birmingham. Right?
Birmingham, England, yeah, and they came during the aftermath of World War I, and essentially they are returning soldiers who are trying to readjust back into their life,
right, and into the family business of basically being gangsters.
Yeah, and so they're like super OG mobsters, and
who went to war.
Yeah, and so what's interesting?
What's with their name, Peaky Blinders?
They wore hats with peaks on them.
Toss me that so we can show it into the clip. There. Yeah.
Like so, and they would stitch razor blades into the bill and try and slice at other people's eyes.
So how do they do that?
Hat.
Demonstrate.
Take it like this and then whip it around, and there would be razor blades sewn in right here that would stick out, and they would catch you in the eye, and they would cause blindness for you.
So they were jerks.
Oh, they were awesome.
So it's basically like a working class boardwalk empire.
Okay.
With Cillian Murphy. He's the head
Is
of
it Killian or Cillian?
I don't actually know. I've only ever read it.
Okay.
So
me too.
I could
Run
be
like the
completely
wind,
wrong.
Lisa.
I think it's Cillian. No, it might be Killian. I don't know.
It is Cillian Murphy.
So
He's killing it.
Yeah, he's the leader of their gang.
Isn't like Tom Hardy in season 2?
Tom Hardy's in season 2, plays Mr. Solomons.
Alfie Solomon.
Yeah, and he's going to be in season 3 from what I've read.
Yep.
And then Nick Cave does the soundtrack is all Nick Cave tracks.
Johnny Cage?
No.
Nick Cave.
Okay, so
Nick
here's
Cave.
a
So-
question to see exactly how good this is. So it's a Netflix show, which I've only seen the
No,
first.
it's
it's
a
a BBC show.
But
Oh, I thought
Netflix picked
but
it up.
Netflix has
Has the first two seasons.
Yeah,
Okay.
first 2 seasons.
So I'm gonna call it a Netflix show for now because that's how I would watch it. Right, I'd watch it on Netflix. In the context of Netflix, when you have like House of Cards and Daredevil and Jessica Jones and Orange Is the New Black
And Marco Polo.
right?
Marco Polo is really
Where
good.
does
Yeah, it's great.
where does it rank among these?
Better than all of them.
I like it better than I almost never watch anything twice. I have watched both seasons 3 times now. all the way
Whoa.
through.
What?
That's
So-
a
Watch it over
wow.
again?
Yeah.
So I was just like, what?
Single-handedly changed the way you dress. That's how good.
I was gonna
Not
ask that
entirely,
show
but
is.
kind of.
I was gonna ask if it's any good.
Yeah, it's really good.
So the guy who cuts my hair, what's up, Jason? He tells me all the time that I should watch it, and I said I don't get it. I don't.
It's really good because like you really start to like these guys, but then every now and then you're reminded like he's giving this one gal money because he wants her to go with him to the races. And he wants her to go buy a dress, and he gives her some money, and she wants more, and she says, "Well, how much do your suits cost?" And he says, "My suits are on the house, or else the house burns down." And you're reminded that this is a bad guy, but like you spend so much time watching him and seeing everything he does, and you're like, "Oh yeah, I kind of like this dude." And then every once in a while you get these hints of like, "Oh yeah, he's kind of evil."
you don't
Yeah.
see all the evil stuff. You just know he
You
does
do,
it.
but like there's
You forget.
breaks in between it. Yes, you forget, and they're very human, and they're very traumatized by their war experience, and all the horrors of World War One and trench
PTSD,
warfare, and
Yeah,
For
all
sure.
that
Taking
sort
the
of
tunnel
thing.
stuff
Yeah.
from Tommy.
So who's the star of that? The actor?
His name is Cillian Murphy.
He
or
looks familiar.
Cillian,
There's
however you pronounce it.
Scarecrow in Batman,
Yeah.
or which one?
Yeah,
He's also in
Batman.
Sunshine
Dark Knight.
as the
Dark Knight.
scientist.
He,
I never saw that. But
This for me is on par with Breaking Bad.
Oh
And-
my gosh.
And potentially better because of the dialogue. And I like the writing in this show better than I like the writing in Breaking Bad. And I love
Yeah,
Watch out
dialogue
for
is something-
Heisenberg.
and I love the writing in Breaking Bad. But the reason why I like this better is
Can it
because
really defeat the pros of Jesse P?
I don't know. I don't know if I couldn't get into like a meta conversation regarding the totality of it, but what I like better about this as a show so far, right? It's only 2 seasons in, so it's got to go the distance that Breaking Bad did in order for me to call it actually a better show.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's fair. But I think the supporting cast around Tommy Shelby or Cillian Murphy is better than the supporting cast around Heisenberg. I think overall
There's
it's a
more
stronger
good
cast.
characters, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So many characters to
Yeah.
fall in love with. There's a plethora of possibilities, as it were. So
But doesn't it support a patriarchy?
No, kind of not really. Because
Cats are gonna eat
their
him
aunt-
before anybody
That was
discovers
a
his
reference.
body.
Yeah, but while they're away at war, their Aunt Polly runs the family gang. And Aunt Polly, you come to see, is quite possibly the most brutal.
Yeah, she don't
Of
take
all
no
of
guff
them.
from no
Yeah.
man.
So
Matriarchy.
It's pretty epic, and so it.
well, it's more just all a family, and everybody
Yeah.
decides together.
They're all terrible.
Yes, but they're
Awesome.
all great at the same time.
Sometimes it's great to watch terrible.
yeah, it's almost
It's like reading the Book of Judges.
they'd be horrible, but you kind of wish that you were one of them. You know?
Yeah, and so watch it on BBC. Keep up with it as it comes out, particularly because the stuff that's edited for TV, right, it makes it a little bit easier to.
BBC doesn't edit the same way American TV does. So if you're trying to
Huh, that's true.
warn people or
Yeah,
people.
so there is some.
So can I just watch on Netflix?
BBC does what it wants.
Yeah.
And, yeah, Netflix is
they're
probably
not as
easier than
prudish
at
as
that point.
American censors.
I don't think I even get BBC. So
Yeah, well then your cable provider's awful.
Greatest
So-
BBC show, Red Dwarf, old '90s like no budget sci-fi show.
I don't know what that means.
Sounds so good.
So this is my
heard of that.
shameless and endless plug for Peaky Blinders, and if you haven't watched it, go watch it. And the fight scenes are tremendous. I thought they would be a little bit hokey, but they really like whip their hats around and take out people's eyes. I know that sounds so lame, but like
Jaden Smith in those fights.
and
Take off their hats. And
I wouldn't be. I
Our
wouldn't-
eyes aren't even real.
I don't even know if I'd be bummed if Jaden Smith had his eyes whipped out.
All right.
But the idea of what they do and kind of the fact that it has some basis in reality for that is
Yeah,
just,
they were a real life gang post World War I era.
Oh, they what?
Yeah.
and they did kill people like that. I mean, it's fascinating.
And Birmingham, for us Americans, we don't really know, but it's kind of comparable from what I've read to Detroit.
Yeah, I've been
Yeah,
there.
it's like an
That's-
industrial.
I could
Yeah.
totally see that. Yeah,
So
I used to have a brother who lived there.
yeah,
I still have a brother, but he doesn't live there anymore.
So watch it, be a part of it. So be a part of the experience that is the Peaky Blinders. And if you're a friend of this podcast, you will watch it, or you should watch it rather. Also,
Or not. You
in
don't
the
have to.
news, no, you do. Also in the news, don't listen to
They're
him.
not a sponsor. You don't
Stop
have to.
it. Don't listen to him. Watch it. It's not, you good?
We talk about so many shows. They're gonna wonder when they have time to do anything else. So
Yeah.
watch.
what's this
Daredevil.
podcast about? TV shows?
Faith and whatever.
Whatever we're watching.
So Peaky Blinders, or go ahead and turn this episode off now. Also, Star Wars Rogue One. I knew James would be all over this,
Yes.
like Garrett on homegrown food from farm to table.
Correct.
So James, why don't you tell us why you are nerding out so unnecessarily hard
Yes.
over this movie?
And I know nothing, so you're gonna have to start.
Sure. Okay. So
From
I mean,
nothing.
we all know that.
When I say know nothing, I know what Star Wars is, and I've seen them all, but I don't know what Rogue One is.
so, we all know that.
I
the
still have
whole
yet to see 4, 5, and 6.
Never, I'm not going to talk about it now.
Really?
I'm kidding. I know the whole. We all know that this whole Star Wars franchise, the whole property of it, was purchased by Disney not too long ago for about $4 billion, I believe. And
Screaming deal.
yeah, it turns out, right?
Heck yeah.
Seemed like a lot of money at the time.
Didn't they make that all back in
but-
just 3 days?
Pretty much, right? When you consider like merchandise and all the other deals they had behind the scenes, they probably did, right? So, and of course, Disney is trying to do to Star Wars what they've done with Marvel, which is make like a constantly a universe that's putting out films constantly, like at least once a year.
By the way, just for the record, as of January 3rd, Star Wars had made a 1.5 billion worldwide.
And that's just the movie.
Yeah.
sales.
That's
Not
over a
to
month
mention
ago.
merchandise and all that.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
There's
it's amazing.
It's not even out on video yet.
Oh, good job. Good job, Disney.
Good job.
So what Disney is doing is my understanding is that the numbered films, episode 7, soon to be 8, 9, those come out every other year, and in between them there's spin-off movies that sort of dig into the lore of the universe, and the first one of those is Rogue One, and
Okay.
it's going to follow a battle that takes place, I think, between episodes 6 and 7, when, because episode 6 sort of ends on this high note where it feels like, oh, they've destroyed the new Death Star, so the war is over. But it's not really over at all, right?
Yeah.
That there's still a war going on. It's just a high moment to end the trilogy on. And so Rogue One is supposed to be much more gritty, more military focused. Like, these are jet pilots and other types of military types for the Republic fighting the Empire in the aftermath of Episode 6. And there's no Jedi in this one. There's no superpowers necessarily. These are like more like on the grounds, guns in hand type characters. And I'm just loving this idea because it's a part of Star Wars we don't get to see normally, right? We see the very fantastical characters, which, by the way, I want that to be most of the time. But every once in a while, let's see some of those more down-to-earth human characters who are, all those Storm soldiers and the Republic soldiers who are cleaning up and doing the real fighting in between all the fantastical stuff. And that's what Rogue One's going to be about.
That sounds so boring.
Sounds great.
Oh, and in fact, the episode 1, episode 7, if you've seen it, there's certain scenes in the movie when they're on the desert planet Jakku, I think it is, where you see like a bunch of downed ships that are all destroyed. That's the war that Rogue One. That's the aftermath of the Rogue One war.
How many years after 6 and 7, between 6 and 7, were there supposed to be?
I'm not sure, but I mean, it's
30?
enough. It's enough for
it's like
children.
I
to
think it's
grow
around
up and
30.
become
Yeah,
adults.
30 years.
Yeah,
Enough for Kylo to grow into a whiny 20-something.
he was so awesome until the mask came off.
Exactly.
That's a whole nother thing.
He's a wonderfully layered character, and ultimately, I really love the movie, and I love that character. But there was so much mystique and awesomeness about Kylo Ren. Like
The
when the
reveal
mask
was
on.
too early.
Right. That should have been like an episode 8 reveal.
Yeah.
Let him just be mysterious throughout 7.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm interested to see how they're going to bring Han Solo back. It's gonna
Yeah,
be
I mean, I
cool
guess
to watch.
depending on how old they want him to be, depending how
Spoiler
soon
alert.
No,
After,
he's dead. Gary. I'm just kidding.
Well, this takes place.
Yeah,
This takes place, I thought, between 6 and 7.
Rogue One does. You're
Yeah,
correct
that's what I
about
mean.
that. They're also, by the way, another spin-off movie. They're going to make a Han Solo movie.
Right.
Ugh.
Who's playing Han?
I don't know. It's going to be. I think they've.
Shia LaBeouf.
Well, I mean, they called me, but I
Just
told them I
do
was busy.
it.
So
I don't know off the top of my head, but I'm pretty sure they have cast that character.
What about any Rogue One cast announced?
Yeah, but it's not people I was familiar with. No.
It's kind of a Star Wars deal.
So, are we going to do a Faith in Whatever screening of this and then discuss it
Oh yes, we are.
Yeah,
That's
that
such
might
a
be
good
fun.
idea.
as a podcast? That could be a good time. Maybe we could have some of the
Maybe we
cast
could
and crew
download
stop,
it illegally
stop by.
here in the studio.
Gareth Edwards and Gary Whittaker can buy. They're friends of the podcast.
Just,
No, I'm just
come-
kidding. They're not. Is that illegal to say? That's probably illegal to say and not make a disclaimer of, huh?
I think as long as people know you're joking, everything's
I'm
fine.
totally seriously joking.
We're definitely their friends. They just don't know that they're our friends.
Yeah, the restraining order says that there's a limit, but we can't be friends. We can be friends from a distance. I think
Right.
that's pretty. I think that's pretty okay. So we have talked about both of those topics, and I'm pretty excited to see where those things land. As much as I joke, I actually am a fan of Star Wars in some regard, and by and large, I think it'll be interesting to see how Disney is able to reimagine those types of things. Because usually when they touch stuff, it kind of turns to gold.
Yes.
And I am not the biggest Disney fan. I hate Disneyland. I have passes because my wife makes me, but I don't like going there. However, you gotta give them credit where credit's due. They own ESPN, they own ABC, they own basically everything.
The cool
Yeah.
thing is, I think most people, even diehard Star Wars fans, were super excited that Disney bought them because now they're going to get Star Wars movies.
Right.
You know, I mean, that's really what they desire. I mean,
The greatest gift to give Star Wars is to take away Lucas, by the way, because
Right.
he ran it into the ground.
As it turns
Right.
out.
Yeah.
right. So Disney buying the Star Wars franchise was good for everybody, especially
Yeah.
them and especially Star Wars fans. So
And they're being, obviously they're merchandising it like crazy. You see it everywhere. But at the same time, considering their investment, they have limited themselves. Because you would think there'd be like a Star Wars land like immediately
Well,
in
it's
Disneyland.
in the work.
Yeah, it's on its way, man.
Yeah, but it
I see what
hasn't
you're
met the
It'll be
saturation
here, like, in the next 2
level
years.
that I've
yeah.
expected.
Like, where's the 4 more Star Wars cartoons on Disney Channel?
Right.
Right.
And pretty gutsy to cut out the expanded universe, to bring it to a close, to uncanonize the expanded universe.
Gutsy or
Well, obviously everything's to make money.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no doubt about that.
but
But
that's rough for a lot of. I know it's a sore point for a lot of people.
that's why it's gutsy, I would say. Right?
Yeah.
Because they could have
Well,
still made
explain
all
a little bit more on it for
Yeah,
those
what
of
do you
us who
mean?
are
Well,
not
there's
familiar.
okay, so let's not talk about episode 7 for a moment. Before Disney purchased this property, there was the 6 films that most people are familiar with, but there's also plenty of books, comics, video games. Some of the stuff not recognized as canon, but much of it recognized as this is canon. It's part of the Star Wars universe. It's Lucas approved, and many novels and comics and graphic novels exploring new characters or the histories of characters. And when Disney purchased Star Wars, one of the first things they did was they basically said the 6 movies are still canon and nothing else.
Yeah.
And they said they still sell that stuff, but it's under a Legends brand where it's like uncanonized stories.
Yeah, it's kind of like Dragon Ball Z's series, right?
Like GT.
GT. Great series, just not part of the canon.
Exactly. That's exactly what it's like.
Yeah. All right, fair enough.
Yeah.
It's like it all became fan fiction overnight.
Yeah.
It's all
Which
just like,
Official fan
Fan
fiction.
fiction can actually sometimes be better
Yeah.
than...
Well,
Like I know with
a lot
Super
of stuff is
Saiyan...
better than the
Well, I know-
first 3 Star Wars movies.
Yeah, I still have yet to see 4, 5, and 6. It's interesting. I get chastised a lot of that by peers my own mid-20-somethings.
You've never seen any of them.
Not fully. I think maybe we've seen 4 there, but by the time we came to... Well,
Yes.
you also know, growing up, we didn't own a lot of VHS movies, and we didn't go to movies a lot. So by the time we're back, it's 95, so they've been out forever. We
Yeah,
kinda-
but still, I mean, somewhere along the way, you got to.
You've had since '95 to watch
Yeah,
them.
you've had
But
21
this
years.
raises a good thought. I have always been curious about whether if you watch those movies now freshly, it's the first time you've seen them, whether they hold up. And I would like for Josh, for part of this podcast,
Homework.
to watch at least one of them to get it started, and for us to be able to pick your brain on whether they hold up.
Well, I mean, it's interesting because I've played the video games, right?
Okay, that's not the same thing.
And no. But I mean, so I'm familiar with the story, so I don't know if that would be like fresh. I know that there's a snow planet with the at stuff, and then Luke kisses his sister, and that's about
There's
where
a
I'm
little
at.
bit more in there, but not much.
That's about. I don't know what happens in the 6th one.
There's a trash compactor.
Some
in it.
people get forced
And-
into something.
I don't know what you're talking about, James. Forced into what?
A bad time.
No, okay, yeah. So I genuinely have no idea.
Still watch them.
Yeah, okay, I'll watch one. You have to provide the link or
Link.
the DVD, whatever I'm supposed to watch.
I'll give you the DVD to watch. Blu-ray.
I'll try that, and then I'll tell you how awful it is next week when we come back and discuss.
I would actually like to hear your honest opinion on
What was it made, like 77?
the first one.
Yeah, 'cause
they were
it's
quite spaced out.
Gonna
Yeah.
be terrible.
Because, well, Jedi was what, 83?
Yeah, I think you're right. And
Yeah. There's no way these are gonna be good.
Yeah,
There's just no way. The
Uh,
plot's gonna be awful. The special effects aren't
the
gonna
plot's
be good.
not entirely original. So,
Right.
I mean, it's kind of a classic.
it's the
Boy meets
it's the
girl,
hero
boy kisses
story.
girl, boy
It's the
finds out his
classic hero
girl's his
story.
sister. You know, classic Romeo and Juliet tale. Yeah, so I'll give it a shot and we'll find out, I guess, the goodness or awfulness of it. Well, I don't know. I mean, I don't know if I want to.
Let's wrap it up.
Yeah, I don't know if I want to keep talking about this. I'm already kind of bored of it. So feel free to follow us on Twitter at Faith, the letter in, whatever. So Faith in whatever, right? Or find us on Facebook.com/Faith in whatever. Any YouTube, Faith in Whatever podcast, on Twitter. For our individual handles, you can email us at faithandwhatever@gmail.com if there would be any topics you would like for us to discuss.
You can find us on your RSS feeds as well.
I don't know what that is, so make sure to do that.
Yes.
Yeah, it's on our website.
On our website, faithandwhatever.com, you can find all our links to social media stuff there.